Honestly, I'm trying to recreate this from memory, and either my grandma's gonna start yelling at me. That's like, that's not what it's supposed to be. I'm gonna start cutting the onions. Just do like thick cuts. You really want to have the textures while you're eating. If you cut it too small, it really just disappears in the dish. So garlic, you really want to chop it a little bit more fine than the rest, just because you don't want to bite into a huge piece of garlic. In this dish, I chose to use Chinese broccoli. You can use any greens that's a little bit hardy. You want to keep them as whole as possible. For the leaves, I usually just rip them off and just let it go down the middle. For the stems though, cut it on the bias. Same thing, you want to have that texture, mouthfeel. So enoki usually comes in plastic bags, and the bag gets a little bit more dense. This is just a 1-2 step. First part, second part, and anything beyond this, you don't really want to use it. Green onions, scallions, whatever you want to call it. The top green part, I'll save for finishing garnish, and the bottom whites, I'll use it for the dish while cooking in it. So now we've done the vegetable part of the dish, and we're gonna bring in seafood component. King crab. And you can get frozen king crab legs out there. It would be great if you're lucky enough to find the raw frozen guys, just because it will lend the flavor of the king crab back into the dish. If you can't get the raw frozen guys, the cooked ones work perfectly fine as well. I'm trying to use the cleaver to break this up a little bit, just because I feel like it's a fun way to break out the cleaver. Put it next to what you're gonna cut and just hitting on the back of the knife. Or you could go, oop, she's gone. But at the same time, like using the scissors at home is actually very approachable. Cut them into like manageable pieces, just so that you can get into the flesh. All right, Mr. Lobster. I'll just twist the tail part off. Try to keep all that good stuff in the head. Let's twist off the claws. Just have a little crack, front and back. Lobster tail, I like to start a couple notches and try to split it down the middle. Same thing, just tip down first and let it ride all the way down. Flip it around, finish off the job. Trying to get it into chunks. 1, 2. Oh. So for the shrimp, I use a smaller knife for this, and you just want to use the tip of the knife, the front inch, and just ride it down the middle. And it almost feels like cleaning a shrimp for someone else. It's like a show of affection, just like a perfectly peeled shrimp. Now we've got the seafoods ready. This is a great time to start soaking the noodles. These are called longevity noodles or Yifu noodles. You just want to let it soak in hot water just to loosen it up and rinse it off. So yeah, after a brief like 1 to 2 minute soak, it's starting to loosen up a little bit, and I think we can go ahead and start cooking the dish. Just start off with neutral oil, grapeseed oil, even olive oil. And once that's going, get all the vegetables in there. A light pinch of salt just to help season the food and break down the vegetables. It will come down to probably half the volume that you put in initially. I would usually put in like a splash of chicken stock. You just want to have it lightly cooked. Pop a lid on and let that steam kind of build up. You can actually hear it like going, which is a good sign. Once the cabbage starts turning a little translucent, you're getting close. All right, that's about where you want to take it. Have a bowl that you've been using the whole time and just kind of get this back out. Once the vegetables all turned out, you'll add about a pint of chicken stock. So a pinch of salt in there. I love white pepper. This is quite the distinct spice in the dish. Using a good amount of white pepper, it's where you want to be. One of the other distinct ingredients, it's something called soy caramel. It has a very deep, rich color. you want to just kind of adjust the color of the dish. You probably can go pretty heavy to start, about half a cup. Now this is on a rolling boil, and this is a great time to do the slurry. This dish has its own viscosity, so it actually clings onto the food. Just add enough water to the cornstarch, and it has to be boiling while you stream this in.